Positioning now.
They have seen that there's some rocks and eco reclaim on this map. Each of these bushes and ferns give about 100 energy reclaim.
Oh, what in the top corners here?
And along the ocean bit. But yeah, the rocks on the top each give 10 metal. There's quite a lot there in total. So yeah, each of them start in mirrored positions. It looked at one point that Duck was going to spawn in the middle in the water for some reason, as a joke, I believe. But it'll be interesting.
In a more casual game, I think he probably will. So let's take a closer look at what we have here. So down in the bottom corner, Jazz Cash has set himself up with Armada. His teammate on the top right, Drone, also, so he's gone Cortex, and sure, was he?
There's a bot factory, by the looks of it.
That's a bot factory, yeah. I'm not quite familiar with the. So, yeah, that definitely is a bot factory. It's like a bit hard to tell sometimes. We have in the other corner Broduck, who's gone Armada, and he's going to go bots as well.
If you notice, the Drone will be the first one to get a factory up here. Everyone else is either just starting their factory or everyone else is literally only still building it. So Drone's going to get the first few units out here. So we'll see what he can do with this extra time advantage.
Yeah, so Governor's going bots, and I think Jazz Cash is going bots. This is definitely a bot heavy match.
It's a lot of hills.
So would you say that Cortex or Armada would have a particular advantage on this particular map?
It's difficult to say. Each have their own advantages and disadvantages. One thing we are just about to see here is that both Duck and Governor have gone Rectors as their first item, whereas Drone is now approaching with an AK, and Duck has nothing but fleas to defend against that. The one thing is that Cord doesn't have fleas. So they don't really have a scout unit like Arm does. So we'll see how much damage this one AK can do versus all these fleas. It doesn't look like it's going to do... Oh, well, no, it killed all the fleas.
Yeah, just about. I was a bit surprised. I thought Duck had that one. But now the Pee-wees are out.
But we've got one Pee-wee for... well, 3 AKs on the field right now. Also at the bottom, you'll see that Jazz Cash is kind of started surrounding, claiming some map control here from Governor, kind of keeping him in his base with Pee-wees. So, not able to get any reclaim from that.
No. As I had a bit of an investigation there at the north, but ran into a light laser turret, which persuaded him to back off. Light laser turrets, very, very good in the early stages of the game.
One of the most economical defenses, light laser towers. Definitely worth building one of them in your base if you're going to move your commander out.
Drone testing the defenses of Duck again.
So Drone's gone for a nano turret this early on, and he's only just moving his commander out of base, which was kind of giving Duck this center area of the map.
So
center top, at least.
We've got Governor moving out for a bit. Oh, the commander's walked out for a bit and decided he's going to admire the view. Looks or he's on guard duty and has completely let one of Jazz Cash's Pee-wees slip through. And he's going to be looking for some easy kills here, but the Rectors are running away. That's very good.
So another thing is, Governor's already switched to hammers. He's stopped getting any more Pee-wees at all. So he's already done with his raiding. Whereas Duck is still building Pee-wees. So we'll see. But Drone has also switched into FUDs. So it'll be interesting to see if Duck is going to switch from Pee-wees as well, or if he's planning on staying.
looks like Governor's doing or going for a raid on drone.
Oh,
think that
the
was-
self-D on the LLT.
Yeah, do you think that was deliberate?
Yes, there's a small explosion radius that comes from when a building destroys. The rate that they were moving, I think they probably would have been past the LLT before it blew up. He also had units there to defend. That LLT was going to die anyway, so it's better for him to make that decision when than let the enemy decide when.
The other two games haven't started yet. We're just waiting on one player in each of them. So I thought I'd jump in here so I can join in the spectating. So I felt I was missing all the fun.
You are
Sounds good.
indeed. We've had quite a lot of early raiding at the moment.
Yes. It's worth noting there's a slight resource and economy advantage to the west team of Duck and Governor, whereas the FX chaps slightly behind them, though it is very close.
Oh, but we're seeing some interesting, seeing some bombardment of the commander on Duck here. Those FUDs just out of range, but he's not paying attention. He's going to get degunned. Oh, he's noticed it just in time.
If he
It's one very heavy commander there.
Probably distracted by the raiding that was happening on the left-hand side. A bunch
Indeed.
of PVs took
Yeah.
out a constructor and a couple of... sorry, I think there's a constructor there and some of the windmills that were constructed.
Duck's
Yeah.
now at 30% health, but haven't pulled back.
yeah, he's got his own hammers in there to push the thuds back.
Meanwhile-
going for a turret line.
Yeah, Jazz Cash is in a bit of a tough position here. All he's got is Roccos, and these FUDs are just, hammers rather, are just pushing right in.
Governor sensing blood, perhaps going in with his own commander, although not being properly supported by his own troops, unless that's deliberate.
That could well be deliberate. So if you blow up their commander and your commander's nearby, your commander is also blowing up. Anything in the commander explosion radius dies. And if your army isn't in that explosion radius, but theirs is, you have an army and they don't. So it very much can be a very deliberate tactic sometimes.
And not only that, this isn't 1v1. Both of those commanders can still die, and it's still game on.
Oh, very much so.
There's an energy stall going on right now for both teams as wins basically non-existent.
Well, it's rising again. We're up to 6 and 7.
So it'd be the good time to strike when the laser towers can't defend you.
Exactly, yeah. With such a 1 to 19, there's a massive variety of wind. You should see some of the players start to think about solar at some stage to prevent exactly that situation. We can see the Governor has 2 solars and is building a third. Duck has no solars, and neither the FX Drone has 1 single solar. Jazz Cash has none. So a sudden drop in wind would make any laser-based teams very problematic.
Yes,
Well, we're
Drone
seeing
did some lovely raiding in the back of Duck's base, taking out 2 mexes.
Interesting. So we're seeing Duck switch back over to Pee-wees now. Rather than sticking with the hammers here. He's also sending all of his 5 hammers down south, maybe to try and finish off Jazz Cash.
Looks like Drone's caught wind of that and putting pressure on that force that's coming down from the north.
It seems Duck's changed his mind as well now and is backing off of them.
Yeah,
It's worth bearing in mind the reason for the unit switch could be Pee-wees are noticeably faster than hammers, but also they are affected less by having to fight uphill. And given where the battle lines are, if he pushes forwards, odds are he's going to have to be going uphill for at least a portion of that. So Pee-wees may find themselves being more useful than a hammer would.
One thing that's interesting right now is if you look at both Duck and Governor's eco, they've got some metal left over. Whereas both of the FX guys are completely running on empty on their metal. So you could say that they're using more of their economy to the advantage. But it could just be reclaim at the same time.
That is true. It's bear in mind it's only about 200 or so metal, so it's not going to have a big impact at the moment.
there's a lot of toing and froing going on between Governor and Jazz Cash at the moment. I think Governor's really trying to stop Jazz Cash from expanding. He's had him pushed back to his base and then sort of pushed back out a little bit, but a little laser turret line going up there to try and They say, wait, no, we're boxing you in.
The thing is, that he's fighting a bunch of Roccos here, and they outrange LLTs as it is, so they don't really stop anything but the few Peewees that he's got. Maybe a bit of time spent having to kill the LLTs though, but I feel like the amount of hammers that Governor has here is quite easily enough to probably push in and do a hefty amount of damage to Jazz, as well as kill all of his Roccos.
Just actually love, we've got these wall of units dancing about here, exchanging missiles and plasma. It is quite something to behold there.
Quick input from the chat here for you, Tarnished.
Yep.
Would you be able to lower the music volume ever so slightly? It's a little bit
Certainly.
loud compared to everything else on the stream.
I apologise. I had turned it down in the test, but obviously not enough. I do apologise, everyone.
And thank you for letting us know, everybody else as well.
We're also seeing a raid about to go on here from Drone in the middle with quite a substantial amount of PBs. AKs rather. 10 AKs in the middle.
That is definitely a statement of power there. I like how we've got all the reactors in the middle as well, just running around to scoop up metal or just take advantage of the economic situation in the middle of the fight.
I'll be interested. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll say, and at the same time, we've still got Jazz Cash and Governor exchanging blows. It's hard to know what to look at sometimes.
I'll be interested to see where this raid from Drone's going. You can see that Duck's building got a few defensive Peewees up there, but if he would have gone against Governor with that, Governor doesn't really have anything other than the units coming out of his base to defend it.
Ooh,
And unfortunately, Drone's attack killed one reactor, one engineer, and that's pretty much it, unfortunately.
Slight update, the Taku and Teddy versus Goopy and Master Bell game is going to start very shortly. The last player has just arrived, they're just setting up now. So after this game we may want to jump into that one, because that'll be midway through at that stage. Might be quite tasty.
yes. Ooh, I like this. So Governor is putting up a sentinel on the front lines. I like this.
They outrange the Roccos, so it's going to force Jazz Cash to fall back.
Sentinel's definitely an interesting choice. You often see it misused, where people go, oh, it's a heavy laser turret, brilliant, it does the most damage. It actually does less damage than a beamer or a double light laser turret. Its advantage is that range. You need to have it supported with other lighter laser turrets, or in this case units, at which point, well, he can't win a war of attrition against that position now. Governor's got a really secure position here.
Yep, it's also Drone versus Duck is getting quite messy and brutal.
Duck's comms very exposed here with not really many units to defend him. However, the amount of units he is pumping out, he's churning them out very quickly. An interesting thing as well is that neither of the teams have built their geothermals.
Do you think it's a bit of a risky thing to invest in, with the match at this stage, or is there just a missed they're missing an opportunity here?
Well, they're very. It costs a substantial amount of metal. I mean, it's 560 metal. It's also a huge energy sink. But the amount of energy they produce is, it's a substantial 300 energy. But I mean, both teams at this time probably would prefer the units, I'd guess. Also, wind's pretty good on this map. So I mean, producing a massive wind farm, as you can see that Duck's done, is not a bad choice. Duck's actually got quite a lot of energy production in comparison to everyone else.
The other thing to consider with those geothermals is their position. They're both very safe, but they're also quite out of the way. So you've not your nanos aren't going to be arranged to assist in building, so it's going to suck up one or more constructors for a period of time. What we might well see is if either team goes to tier 2, they get the geothermal before that, simply because of the massive increase in energy required for tier 2.
We're starting to see a warden going up on the drone side here.
He's already built a nano turret for repairing things on his battle line, which is quite Quite nice to see.
That's a fantastic move as well, building the nano turret there. It assists with the Warden. It'll also reclaim things, and it's got a decent range on it, so it makes your battle line that much stronger. We can see the Governor's actually done exactly the same thing.
We're seeing a raid in the middle here from Governor as well.
Oh yeah, Governor
Just
coming in
cash-
here.
Oh, superb movement.
Ooh.
So because your drone is very sensibly left
Oh.
the laser turret back there, but it's just not doing enough.
Here's a big news here.
Yeah.
Drone has built a second factory and has started building blade wings.
He's not just like built them, he's now flown them out.
And
They
yeah,
are-
he's neutered the Sentinel, giving Jazzcash that opportunity to attack.
Unfortunately, Governor has very sensibly built a Dragon's Claw, the pop-up lightning turret, which is incredibly effective against tier 1 units. He's built that to support the Sentinel, and he's got the nano turret there.
We've also just seen a vehicle factory change from Governor. As you can see, he's starting pushing out Stumpies and Samsons.
Yeah, he's just stopped the Samson production. He's now pure Stumpies. Samson's very good when you get them to that critical mass. If you've only got a couple, they're going to pick away at the units, not do much. When you've got a whole blob of them, it's very hard to push into them.
Ooh, a lovely fight breaking out in the middle. Everyone throwing their a lot in.
Drone's commander just kind of sat right next to Duck at the moment, doing nothing. Everyone's concentrating on that fight.
There's just so many different areas you have to watch. It's hard enough as a spectator trying to keep track of it all, but you know, as a player, when you also have to issue orders, it's just so much. And
Oh, Governor's commander might be going down here. You can see Jazzcash and Drone focusing it.
Yep.
Look at what died with it. Jazzcash and Drone's armies died. Governor's army was barely touched.
But Drone's suiciding his commander to Duck.
Oh,
Ooh.
and that's the double commander difference that you have there. So they knew that they'd taken out one commander, so they could sacrifice their other one to guarantee the destruction of the other one. That was a nice play there.
That is very well played.
Yes, GG indeed. Okay, we just jump back to the booth for a moment while we wait for